So here's the moment no one really wants to admit, but it's staring us all in the face. A split second, a tiny gesture that told us more about Harry and Meghan's reality than 100 interviews or palace statements ever could. It wasn't a fight, it wasn't a headline-grabbing scandal, it was a microphone. One mic Harry had it, Meghan reached for it, and nothing happened. No handoff, no ladies first, no shared spotlight. Just silence, tension, and a look that said everything. It wasn't random. It wasn't an accident. In front of cameras, flashing lights, and a room full of people expecting Sussex unity, Harry kept the stage to himself. Meghan stepped forward anyway, smiling wide like she always does, trying to claim the moment. But this time, the crowd didn't clap. The team didn't move. And Harry didn't budge. A gesture that small shouldn't matter, and yet it shifted everything. Because sometimes the things left unsaid are louder than anything they could announce. That microphone turned into a spotlight Harry wasn't willing to share. He gripped it, kept talking, and for the first time in a long time, Meghan wasn't part of the script. No handover, no glance, not even the subtle body language of a husband inviting his wife to step in. It was cold, deliberate, and painfully obvious to everyone watching. Meghan, of course, tried. She stepped forward, leaned in, and even tapped him on the back, a silent cue she's used before. But Harry didn't move. He didn't tilt the mic, didn't shift his body, didn't acknowledge her presence. And the audience felt it too. Instead of cheering her on, the room fell flat. No applause, no excited murmur. Just an awkward pause that stretched far too long. For a couple who built their brand on togetherness, this was a crack in the foundation, played out in real time, under bright lights. Harry kept speaking like nothing was happening, while Meghan's wide smile started to look more like armor than charm. A small gesture, yes. But the silence around it was deafening. For years, Meghan could walk into any room and instantly own it. The cameras would swing her way, the crowd would light up, and even Harry often faded into the background as she played the leading role. But not this time. When she stepped forward in that wrinkled, travel-worn outfit, it felt less like a dazzling entrance and more like an interruption. The energy in the room didn't rise, it dipped. And that's the real shift. Meghan once had an effortless grip on the narrative, a way of bending the moment to her advantage. Now, every move looks rehearsed, every smile a little too polished, every entrance more desperate than dazzling. The once magnetic charm is slipping, and what replaced it is awkwardness. The Sussex power couple image only works when both are in sync, when the chemistry looks natural. But here, it was gone. The mic stayed in Harry's hand, the applause never came, and Meghan was left standing in a spotlight that no longer followed her. Now here's where it gets interesting. Normally, the press would feast on a moment like this. Every paper, every gossip column, every glossy magazine headline should have been looping that footage on repeat. But they didn't. Almost nobody touched it. Instead, the mainstream coverage stayed polished, still pushing the tired, modern royal power couple narrative. Why? Because this scene doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the fairy tale they've been selling for years. It doesn't match the polished PR version of Harry and Meghan as inseparable, unstoppable, unshakable. So instead of reporting what happened, the cameras looked away. But anyone who watched closely saw it. They saw Meghan step into a moment she wasn't invited to, and Harry silently shutting her out. They saw the tension, the awkward smiles, the audience unsure whether to clap or stay quiet. That silence told the truth the headlines refused to. And while that awkward stage moment was unfolding, something else happened thousands of miles away that almost nobody noticed. The government of Ukraine referred to Prince Harry as His Royal Highness in official correspondence. Let that sink in. This is the same title we've been told he no longer holds, the same honor the palace supposedly stripped away. Yet when Ukraine used it, there was no correction. No pushback. Not from Buckingham Palace, not from Harry himself. So what does that mean? Maybe Harry isn't as cut off from the monarchy as the public's been led to believe. Maybe the palace is quietly keeping doors open, leaving space for him to slip back in if it suits them. Or maybe they're playing both sides, telling the world he's out, while still letting protocol recognize him when it matters. And let's be clear, in politics and diplomacy, protocol is never an accident. Titles aren't used by mistake. This wasn't casual. It was calculated. If the mic moment showed cracks, the Kevin Costner event ripped them wide open. Meghan wasn't scheduled to be there. She wasn't on the program. Yet somehow, there she was, stepping onto the stage like she belonged. Except she didn't. The organizers froze, the audience hesitated, and even the security team seemed unsure what to do. Cameras rolled, but the silence was suffocating. No cheers. No warm reception. Just awkward glances and tight smiles. Meghan stood there, forcing her grin, waiting for the crowd to embrace her. But nothing came. And when it finally hit her that the moment wasn't hers to take, she stormed off. Witnesses later whispered that the polished smile vanished the second she was backstage. And if you think Harry didn't hear about it in the car afterwards, you'd be wrong. Meanwhile, back in London, the palace played it cool. No comments, no clarifications, no public jabs. They didn't need to. Because silence is the strategy. Where Meghan scrambles for attention, the royals bide their time. They know the power of patience. They know that by doing nothing, the Sussexes will spin themselves into exhaustion. King Charles doesn't flinch. Prince William doesn't pause. The royal machine keeps turning steadily, without the California drama. And every time Harry makes a public appearance in Europe, every time Meghan pushes her way onto a stage, the contrast becomes sharper. One side calm, controlled, untouchable. The other side loud, erratic, and slowly losing relevance. But let's not forget Harry. Because beneath all the headlines, the real story is him. This isn't the wild, cheeky prince the world once adored. This is a man who looks drained, cautious, rehearsed. A man who can barely string together a sentence without sounding like he's second-guessing every word. California was supposed to be freedom. Sunshine, polo, podcasts, and independence. But instead, Harry looks smaller. Quieter. Torn. He's not just half in, half out of the royal family. He's half in, half out of himself. Trapped between the life he thought he wanted and the identity he can't fully escape, and while the palace stays silent, the media keeps playing both sides. One day, it's glowing headlines about reconciliation. The next day, it's anonymous insiders whispering about marriage collapse. None of it's consistent. None of it's loyal. Because for the press, Harry and Meghan aren't a cause, they're content. Conflict sells. Scandal sells. And the Sussexes keep feeding it. Every staged photo op, every tell-all interview, every unscripted awkward moment becomes fodder. The headlines swing like a pendulum, but the only constant is this: the media doesn't care about truth. They care about clicks. And that brings us here. The Sussex story, once framed as a bold escape, a modern love story breaking royal chains, is crumbling. Meghan once dictated the frame, the lighting, the narrative. Now every move feels forced, every smile feels strained, every appearance feels awkward. The audience isn't buying it anymore. Harry's rebellion has dulled into hesitation. Meghan's charm offensive has turned into a desperate push. And the palace? They're winning simply by waiting. Because sometimes the strongest move is silence. So what looked like just a mic that never changed hands was so much more. It was a symbol. Of Meghan fighting to hold on to a spotlight that's slipping away. Of Harry drifting, torn between the crown he can't fully leave and the life he can't fully embrace. And of a palace that knows silence is louder than any speech. The fairy tale didn't explode in fireworks. It faded quietly, awkwardly, in a moment caught on camera, a wrinkled dress, a forced smile, and a microphone Harry never let go of.